Hey guys, it's John and welcome back to The Letter. So I kind of threw a tantrum at the end of the last video and I'm really hoping that I get proven wrong here and they end up talking about the main plot of the game that they've been ignoring for the last 30 hours. Let's go ahead and get into it. Yet even as the cold morning light, nope, they're not going to talk about it, shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. That sentence doesn't make any sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. There it is again. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
So, okay, so we are talking about it. But I don't understand why we just skipped over the retellings and the reactions of all their different stories when in each chapter we have literally relived the same scenes line for line from another character's perspective. I don't understand why we couldn't see at least something interesting like the reactions to each other's stories there. Okay.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
It's not a thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? So has Rebecca talked? See, this is why I wanted to see I wanted to overhear the conversation. Has Rebecca mentioned what she found in the library? Is there any more research we can delve into about the mansion's history? You know, how's this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Maybe there's more than one of it. Even my friend, the priest from the cathedral. He's been acting strangely. There might be more than one of that paper going around that we don't know about. More to this. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrows with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answers.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Some old bugger. Why else would they tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. Thanks to those, we're also missing a lot of things here. All I have to go with is the mansion, the letter, and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. You're one to talk, Ash, but what else? Somehow, even with all this information in hand, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. At present, everything seems to point to where this all started. The Ermengarde mansion. Yeah, no shit. Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? Fuck. How do I? The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Seriously. It's just... How did they not think at any point, maybe there's too many sighs? Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. Okay, so time for like a 30-minute break while we go to the cafe and talk about our feelings. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up to me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few.
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the three of us are on our feet, while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. What do you think a gun is going to do against a ghost? However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be...
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They waste no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabelle is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. But right now, its smooth surface against my palm with the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they all are, they immediately stop at the slight raise of my hand. But the edge is there while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. What a martyr! In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. A glance at my companions. A nod. Yes, come on. Something creaks. Then in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... nothing. It's the old Goosebumps trick. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards my companions, only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders. Surprise, surprise. And...
We should go. Everyone, we need to... Ah!
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against the floor, with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. I doubt it. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision. If it could dislodge your brain from your skull, you wouldn't be alive. And then, I sense it. Cold tendrils, there it is again, twisting around my ankles. The smell of bile rot assaulting my nose, nauseating, sickening. A foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just inexperience. Maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. Loads. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton! Snap out of it!
No, I can't die here. Not yet. The haze phases from my mind and instinct kicks in then and there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wail she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person my hand can reach and leading everyone out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them. In a short while, I'm driving us out of Salem Well. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. Wow, okay, so we're on the first entry on October 31st. Pretty cool. At least we're getting more horror junk. It's nice. What I really want now, I'm not even like, this horror visual novel's not horror enough. I want more main plot. That's what I want. And like, that wasn't bad. They weren't talking about their favorite food or their favorite color or anything, so. A dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour. The dark clouds lift just after the sun peaks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly fucked up shit being called in. Like that one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day.
Fun times.
Uh-huh. Of course, I doubt anything can top getting cursed by a damn chain letter of all things. But it's not really a chain letter, is it? Because we know that that's just a prank from those students on the video camera. Or whatever that we found as Marianne. So it's not even a chain letter, which was... Anyway. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages, for fuck's sake. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on that cake. So far, all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. It frustrates me to no end how we're still no closer to an answer. Oh, you're frustrated. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Ash. Some of us have been in for a lot longer, though, and we're even more frustrated. Even my car reflects the state my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface. Scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side and into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. Gross. I haven't slept at all, and my last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabella offered. The way I am now, I'll definitely get a scolding. Rebecca will definitely give me an earful and tell me to take care of myself better. Say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and about how I reek, and how I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
Okay. It's not that I can't feel the pang of hunger. With that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins in my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle, and that horrid smile she has on her as she pulls me closer. The memory is enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From my dashboard, sunlight glints off Ophelia's surface. Freaking called it. Remember when we saw it in his profile? And I was like, Ophelia. Shirley and Ophelia. Ophelia's his gun. Oh my god. Normally I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxburn police regulations allow only authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization. Yes, clearly. But I have never really saw the need for its use when the standard issue tasers are more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. If not, I can always throw them on their back. Those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid has its uses too. Why are we talking about this? On a ghost, though, all of those will probably yield the same result. They're all useless. I might as well use a stick. You might as well just run. However, it's the feeling of ease I'm after, of what little of it I can gather from it. The awareness that I, at least, have something to protect myself with in case things go wrong. That I can still protect the people who are still depending on me, despite the missteps I've taken. It doesn't take the edge off, though, the feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. A stretch is still in order, though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon I step out from my car, closing it behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and colder than it has ever been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Here we go, talking about the weather. Luxburn normal. In the distance beyond the buildings lighting the horizon, dark clouds are blowing in.
Storm might be due this evening, give or take.
Give or take what? Give or take an evening? A shame for the people looking forward to Halloween tonight. Oh, what a shame. I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Still, I bask in the change it brings. Inhale, exhale, breathing in, taking in the peace as if it'll be my last. But as with all the good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end, thank God. Not necessarily a bad end. The chatter reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find them, Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella, just as they've entered the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flirt from Salemwell, we elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally, we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like any of us has gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it'll only last for a second, or it's a fitful one. But looking at them right now, from afar, it's easy to mistake them for just a group of friends on a day out. Isabella is gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks. Something funny or amusing, probably, because it's soon followed by Zach's booming laughter and Rebecca's giggles. Their voices fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation the way they're acting now. If anything, it's only their appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under their eyes, an exhausted curve in their shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer they get, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. Zach tosses an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it. Isabella hands me the other bag she's holding, before seeing herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they drizzled over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell. Heavenly. Hell. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. What kind of... God, you really are a kid, huh? Ew, vegetables. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for them to start. They eat a lot in this game. The rest of them appear to be of the same mind, too. Soon enough, they all start with theirs. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we all are, food is something we can't forego. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're going to have to take care of ourselves first. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons in a nearby waste bin. Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to dismal. Back to the problem at hand. Back to the plot. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance, always busy on some project or work, the things we've taken for granted. Now we're realizing how valuable they are. The world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to if we ever free ourselves from this damn curse. I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary. Yeah, you guys do an awful job of talking about this.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look at to me as if my face has all the answers in the world. It's a lot of reading. Throat's getting dry. I used to think so back when I was at the top of my game and I'm still sure of everything. Now there's just uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here and we started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we've had enough kindling to get a fire burning. The not so pleasant kind of fire. What, so we're fighting with each other? The only other time I think I've heard this music is during the housewarming party with Luke and Hannah when that woman comes in and accuses Luke of fathering her unborn child. What, so they're gonna fight now?
Well, first, we can't just stay here. That much is obvious.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Becca. Sooner or later, she'll...
As if we have a choice. We can't even go back to our own homes because that thing might get us. No, we're safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Isabella. Not to a stupid chain letter you were too gullible to pick up, bring with you, and show to everyone.
What? Gullible? I was there, okay? It was just on the floor and she just picked it up. And she didn't show it to everyone. You guys took it out of her bag. Fuck you.
I didn't do it on purpose. Becca, had I known, I wouldn't have...
Hey, you two. None of us want to die to this. Just calm down. We ain't getting anywhere shouting at each other.
Whose side are you on, Zachary?
Wow.
No one's. But we can't just say it's her fault. She did warn us not to open it. And both you and Ashton...
That doesn't exempt her from any blame. She's still largely responsible for it.
And you're not?
I didn't say that! Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well?
Well, you've conveniently not mentioned it to this point.
I tried to warn all of you. None of you listened. Now you're blaming me for something I kept telling you guys since day one? You're just as responsible for this as I am.
So now you're throwing it back at us? We wouldn't even be having this problem if you're...
Will you two cut it out? This ain't the place for I don't know, petty squabbles.
If you don't want to get caught in it, then stay out of this, Zachary.
I'm noticing one character in particular being particularly divisive. Being a troublemaker, stirring up drama. Who could it be?
Oh no, Zach. Don't stop her. Let her say it. I'm sure she has plenty more to say. If I didn't know any better, she's all ready.
Let me take a look. I have a positive relationship with Isabella and Rebecca, actually. Interesting. And positive with Zachary. Positive with everybody, really. Except Rebecca and Ash aren't getting along, but they're not fighting. So I guess this just happens no matter what.
Already what? You want me to say it? Out loud? That I find you in this whole thing?
All right, that's enough!
Oh, Ashton putting his foot down. Very scary, 5'5" guy.
Everyone, shut up!
They all faltered to silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. Everything descends. Sometimes things just happen. You know? Sometimes things just are there. Not everything descends. I did not mean to shout, to snap at them, to add to that kindling, not in a moment when anytime, anywhere she might get to one of us. We're all in the same boat, yet here we are playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving into the pressure, to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she can pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all this out. Fuck, I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth, that out of everyone, I have to be the one saying this to them. This is more their forte than mine, keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have turned after just one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit about you, Ash? Shut the fuck up. Let's see what you're about to say.
If we all want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
Didn't Zach just say that? Didn't he just say that exact thing? Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. Hang on, let's check out the... Ah, okay. Ashton walked out suggesting they cool their heads first. But didn't you just bring up the possibility that maybe the ghost is trying to divide you guys so she can pick you off one by one? So then you separate yourself. If the door slams with more force than needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. I'm not even sure what or who I am angry at. Okay, so basically they're just having this scene so they can have like some filler inner monologue thing so we can't actually like progress with the story yet. That's all this scene is gonna be. Maybe we'll even see her in like the rear view mirror or something. The ghost at them? Or maybe at myself for being this useless. Because despite none of them saying it, I know, goddammit. They're still counting on me, in spite of my failures or every harsh word I've uttered or how unbearable I can be as a friend. It's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and one by one they follow me and get in the car. I was about to say, what's that sound? Okay, good, we're fine. It's in concerned glances they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in their silence. Is it a tense silence that descended on the car? A heavy gift, their unwavering trust. Yet it's one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, they're the only ones I have left. Though in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at that ghost and be done with this. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a week or when you're stressed. More often than not, it's loud. What I tell you guys, I said the cafe, but the bar, same thing. This is where they're going. We're gonna have a long drawn out conversation here. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. Great, let's go there. All in all, it's the very definition of the last place I'll hang around after a wakeful night, but it's safe, or as safe as it can be with G's security watching the place. Makes it easy to find help in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort too. Gregor! Bartender G, or just G to his regular patrons, might be rough around the edges, sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but he belongs to the good folk of this city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after people important to me, it's probably him. He means well. Surprisingly, despite his surly demeanor, cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world, in my opinion, but that's exactly it, isn't it? In wine, there is truth. What? What are we even talking about at this point? Alcohol, in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down. Whatever inhibitions anyone has, it all flies straight out the window after a few glasses. It has made him observant, too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time, it's me. Opinionated ass. Opinionated ass. But God knows how many times I've asked for his help. When I'm met with a dead end in a case or I'm in trouble. This time's no different. Sorry, I just Freudian slip there. I'm trouble. Because he is. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything, and the next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting toward his station hours later after having gotten that much needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers line the counter's surface when I enter the room. You know, I don't think that the ghost is really restricted by where you guys are. I think the ghost... And I've seen this theory pop up in the comments section, actually. But I was thinking it too, is that the ghost seems to pop up when, with the exception of the first time when Isabella was caught in the attic, and the time when she was walking past the mannequin that looked like the ghost. She seems to mostly pop up when they've been in one place for a while. Like when Zachary's been in his apartment late night doing, developing pictures, or when Rebecca has been in the library for hours and hours looking at stuff, or when Isabella was pulling a late night at the office, or when she and Ash were there sifting through papers for a long time. That's mostly when we've seen the ghost, right? So it seems like if you keep moving, you should be good. Like, as long as you don't just stay in one place for a really long time. Which makes it kind of surprising to me that they're able to sleep at this bar for several hours of shut-eye. Because that is what happened, right? Yeah, a room at the back of his shop. So, I don't know, maybe that doesn't mean anything. It's just something I thought I noticed. I mean, there are exceptions to it. But, and like when Zach died, he had been in that prison cell for a while. So maybe that's an interesting could-be pattern. And I don't know if it has anything to do with the ghost or its actual behavior, but it's something to think about. Behind the bar, G's busy wiping each of them clean, likely prepping it for tonight's use. Briefly, he glances up at me once I claim one of the empty stools and grab a rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow. Now, I will say this. There have been plenty of appearances of the ghost, but the character hasn't been in danger. Anytime that the character can actually, die in the story, that's what I'm talking about. Like, when Isabella sees the ghost in the mannequin window, or when, Rebecca sees the ghost in the rearview mirror, they haven't been in those spots for very long. Or, when Marianne sees the ghost at the Wright's apartment, right? With the radio behind the door. Those are just little things, but the characters can't die there, to my knowledge. So those exceptions to the rule are non-fatal situations. Huh. Interesting. Okay, Briefly, he glances up at me once I claim one of the empty stools and grab a rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow. Turning it absent-mindedly in my palm, just to keep my hands occupied while my brain's busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Oh, I'm so overwhelmed. My massive brain is throbbing with thoughts. Even at a dead hour, with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, never grown fond of it. Doesn't surprise me. Regardless of how many times I made a trip or sat here on the same spot just talking with the old man, never been fond of drinking in the first place. Yet oddly, it's the nasty odor of a brewery that helps clear my mind this time. This is the only thing I think I'm going to agree with Ash on. I don't get it either. Along with the lack of the establishment's usual hubbub and the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, through my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth has curved up in a tight frown that he has questions, a bucket load of it, he wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work. Rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat. Going through the motions with such familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching his precise movements quietly like this, with these thoughts swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. Watching his precise movements... Okay, sorry. I was looking at my phone. I gotta have dinner in a little bit. I'm just making sure I'm on the right timeline. One solid lead on this. One possible way to sort this out. But will it work? Especially if my assumption's correct and the reason Zach was there yesterday morning was because of the curse. Something must have happened there for him to see the need to visit this place that morning. What if the couple has fallen victim to the curse too? It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased, not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... Fuck.
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
I mean, I've been saying that the whole game, but yeah. That's likely the moment when Cooper saw it. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right away. And if there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there. Where all of this fucking mess started. Are you gonna leave your friends here? Okay, so this is where the game goes from like, what if all his friends are dead? We still need to have like a full chapter. So he's gonna go on his own to the Ermengarde mansion. It's not only my life on the line here, there are others. What happened to us, I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them, or how complicated all this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion, and now there are voices lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
It's because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
A reminder of what I've failed to do and who I've failed. At some point, they all begin to blur together, twining and coiling. The tendrils, you mean? Every horrid image and memory of her, seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of it.
You doing good there, boy?
His hand is on my shoulders, gripping it tightly and giving me a light shake. There's relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people after all, even someone who can be as closed off or distant like me. In all the time I've spent in the force, there's only one other person who's as keen as this old guy. The chief. Yeah, it's the same. They look exactly the same. Can you not see it? They sound the same too. Funny and weird to some degree. I pointed out to him so many times before how much they look alike. Only for the observation to be brushed off with a vehement tone. I never brought it up again after the third time. I have respect for the guy. Whatever it is, it's clear it's something he doesn't want to talk about. Maybe they're triplets? Because there's another one that looks like him too. Why push, right? However, during times like this, it's impossible for the thought not to come up. He even has the glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a damn rookie again.
You're looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me. I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Didn't you just get sleep? Now with her face still a clear picture in my head, no?
I heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time?
A ghost girl's trying to kill us.
This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
I wish it were. Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you got a kick out of telling us earlier. This video. Got him.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now. I haven't seen you this stressed out since they closed that case. The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
Really, I can use some right now. Something to numb the senses. I mean, I don't think you want that when you're being hunted by a ghost girl, but that's just me. When has that helped anyone?
In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the art stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
Hey,
What?
I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
No, you can't. All right.
Not from what I've seen, nope.
No.
Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslum?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. Bloody locals.
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a long moment, G stands there unmoving. His hand stops short of placing the glass he's been wiping prior back to a rack on his left. All while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago, I've been put in the same position. Yes, we know. We know. Don't show us this again. We know. Even now, in spite of the things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Or maybe this is just desperation creeping in. The idea that I might not be able to find a way out of this. Whatever the case is, for people who haven't experienced what I'm going through, this will merely sound like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
Uh-huh. This must have been what Isabella felt like the whole time we made fun of her that day.
This isn't a prank. I saw something.
Now it's too late. Okay. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare where the only way out might be death. And like I've expected, G's reaction to it, an amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole pub after a long bout of silence, like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay. Good one, kid. You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
Although I want to be angry with him, I can't find it in myself. Can't even muster the energy for a scowl or a glare. Nothing but a taste of my own medicine to temper the annoyance bubbling up in me, I suppose. Alright, good. Yeah. At least you're self-aware a little bit there. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, all right. Good luck with that. You're on your own. Here I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
It is weird seeing him in two different places on the screen right now. He's in the forefront, and he's also behind the bar in the background. He shakes his head, lets out another chuckle before returning to his task. By now, almost half of the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kinds used for shots and stemmed ones for cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that, if the wistful expression on him says anything.
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. Has always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
Yep.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
I must have screwed up a lot for things to suddenly shift like this, for me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be.
No, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stop calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
Police types, huh? A significant pause follows at its heels from both of us as he allows its meaning to sink in and spur something in me, stirring a feeling of both heavy and forceful, but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away to begin his work on the silverwares. He'll need those too, once more of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy, a sharp contrast with the strained air we've been wading through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it all ends with the loud shuffling of foot from the adjacent hallway, a sigh is all that leaves me. Don't do it. Okay. I don't want to hear it ever again. I'm going to hear it several times before the end of the chapter, but there's no need for me to look up to know who it is. Well, yeah. Zack's treads alone are telling. There's always a weighted set to them. Steps that are taken with a lazy cadence. Lazy? Watch it, dude. Okay, so that's it. Like he's always trying to make himself smaller, less conspicuous than he actually is. In a place he's unfamiliar with, he also tends to linger, stand awkwardly at the sides, as if he's all too afraid to break something. That or he's waiting for permission of some kind. Either way, he's never been the kind to barrel headfirst into things or forgo courtesy, despite appearances. Much like how Rebecca's mother Henning belies her fiery temperament, or Isabella's rare displays of maturity appears at odds with her youth. Rare displays of maturity? There's been a lot of those in my life, it seems, more so from the people I've grown closer to over the years. Walking contradictions we all are. It's a wonder how we ended up as friends in the first place. I don't care. I don't give a shit. All I care about at this point is the main plot. Can we please get to it? I don't care about your friendships. I really don't. Couldn't give a shit about your relationship with Zack. Zack's a cool guy. I don't mind him as a character, but you guys are both incredibly uninteresting to me, and I just want to know what the deal is with the letter, the mansion, the rights, the ghost girl, the history, the previous owners. Just can we please get to that someday? But maybe that's also exactly why. To some extent, there's still an understanding in there, in knowing. Okay. That no matter how long you've been together, or how familiar you are with a person's habits, or how many lifetimes there might be for all of you, one can never fully know a person. Okay. Sometimes it works because they merely chose to stay. Sometimes it's as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology, regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey,
Sometimes it's this. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's this. This time I glance at him, briefly, gauging the mood. Can we commit to something? Do we have to look at every situation and analyze it from... Gauging the mood. He just woke up. There, mood gauged. He's sleepy. Zack has been diagnosed as fucking sleepy because he just woke up from a nap in the back of a bar. Probably a little bit uncomfortable. Probably didn't sleep that well. Little sleepy, little tired, little stressed out, having a ghost girl chase after you. There, mood gauged. Not because reconciliation's an issue for me. Between us, it never will be. But somehow, this is another thing I'm all too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word, if this is going to end in another argument, we might as well stop as early as now. There's another long pause from him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. In the end, he chooses to stuff both into his pockets and trains his eyes at the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, G has slipped back to kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Still, Zack trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice, simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
It's a start at least. A stiff one, but a start. The least I can offer in return is that rare honesty.
For a few hours, yeah.
Curt. Brusque. Not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zack takes it as a sign. Relief washes over him as his shoulders relax and he releases a tense breath. Soon, he's closing the distance he has put between us and flops onto the chair to my right.
I think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
Yeah, shut up, Ash. He shifts in his seat, coughs, drums his finger on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it. No apologies. Why would there be apologies? Somehow that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. Maybe not for the better, not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment. The kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking any time, it's these little hope we cling to. It's these little things we wish will happen again. I'm not an optimistic person by nature. Hopeful maybe, but never optimistic. Though I want to believe there's a reason, there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. It's just funny how it took all this to spur these kinds of thoughts in me. I can't even remember the last time something like it has occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
I just want to point something out here. I just want to point out these sentences, and I want to constructively take a look at them and point out just how I think they could be improved. And this goes for like the entire visual novel. He shifts in his seat, coughs, drums his finger on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it. No apologies. Somehow that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. So it just needs to end at somehow that short exchange is all we need. You don't need to have he shifts in his seat, he coughs, he drums his finger on the counter, he falls silent, the air changes, maybe not for the better, not yet. It's less suffocating, less hostility and resentment, the kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's easy, not that it's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking, like, you don't need to have all that. Just say, like, somehow that short exchange is all we need. And then maybe like a little thing like, you know, things are, you know, at ease again. And then all this stuff, like, there's so many things that are just repeated. In a situation where death might come knocking anytime, it's these little hope we cling to. And then the next sentence is, it's these little things we wish will happen again. You don't need that second sentence at all. It does nothing. It says exactly what you said in the previous sentence. You don't need it. And this occurs throughout the entire visual novel. They double up on everything. They say the same thing twice, so many times. They'll be like, it's a little hope that we cling to. It's the little things we wish will happen again. You're saying the same thing. You're just padding and wasting my time. Here's another example. I'm not an optimistic person by nature. Hopeful maybe, but never optimistic. You don't need that second sentence. Just say, I'm not typically an optimistic person. Though I want to believe there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. You don't need that. Of course Ash wants them to live. Why do we need, what does that tell us about him? It tells us nothing. Though I want to believe there's a way we'll live through this nightmare. Like maybe just say, I'm not typically an optimistic person, but I find myself hopeful that we'll make it through this. Done. Done. Half the words. Same, you miss nothing. It's just funny how it took all of this to spur these kinds of thoughts in me. I can't remember the last time something like it has occurred to me. I honestly don't even know what that second sentence is even saying. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten. I don't even think you need that sentence either. So really, all this could have said is, somehow that short exchange is all we need to get back to normalcy, or, you know, phrase that however you want. And then just skip all the way forward to, I'm not typically an optimistic person, but I find myself hopeful that we'll make it through this. Done. That's it. You don't need 10 sentences. You just need 2. We didn't miss anything. Sorry, listen. I haven't written any games or anything, but I did work professionally as a writer for a while. Albeit it was in advertising, but I wrote things and I deliberated over them quite a bit in rooms full of other people who were not writers, and they always wanted to add more words. And it's just, you want to be concise with your writing. And I understand this is an anime visual novel, two things which apparently give way to long-winded exposition at every turn, and everyone's just used to it. But you can write this using half as many words. And I know I'm aware of the irony right now that I'm just like talking you guys' ear off about this and being long-winded about it, but just want to say that because it's been bothering me the entire time. It makes it very frustrating because there's just it's poor storytelling. And I know that a lot of people out there are like really used to it because maybe you watch a lot of anime and like that's just how things are told, but it's bad. It's bad. It's bad, bad, bad. And if there is a lot of exposition, if there is a lot of long-winded, just like, you know, here's a bunch of shit you don't care about. This is long-winded. Then like you have to reward it with like a BAM! Like crazy moment. That's what a game like Danganronpa does so well. Danganronpa is a visual novel. There's lots of long-winded exposition. There's lots of moments where you're just like, all right, I need the character to stop talking through what I already know. But then it rewards you with an oh shit moment. And that's what you need. You need that punch. This game has no punch. Okay. So he says, why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zach, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases.
Zach, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases.
Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at.
So just one last thing. The voice acting in this game is fine. I see a lot of complaints about it in the comments. I think the voice acting's fine. Ashton just drives me crazy. I know he's from like Team 4-Star or whatever, you know, internet god, but I just don't care for it. It's the only one.
You know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash. Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. It can't be any worse than this. What's on your mind, Ash?
There really is something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I won't normally say to the other. Unlike her, who pushes, sometimes with the same tenacity as her moods, Zach has this strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Oftentimes, the question feels so subtle, it catches me off guard, with less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, he's like the older brother I never had, the kind you can depend on when things go sour. You've already mentioned that he's like the brother you never had and you're an only child. You've already mentioned that. There's no need to reiterate it. The kind you tell things to simply because he'll listen without forcing his own opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked.
I think the reason why Ashton's VO annoys me so much is because it's like it follows the same pattern every time. It's like and he always ends it like he's like out of breath.
I'm gonna look into it tonight.
Exactly, right there. That's it. It's the same. Every sentence is like that. It doesn't take him long to put two and two together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry the second he realizes what I meant. We've already examined the letter, read through piles of documents. There's really only one we haven't given a once-over. The mansion. Thank God! Can we please go there? Of course, Zach may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet through the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
I'm going, you're not.
You're
That's
an
what he's gonna
unarmed
say.
civilian, Zach.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe.
There it is.
I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede, not from the manner he grips his knees or the rigid set to his jaw.
I'm going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream, and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, You shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
Before I can stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. It's one of those times again where Zack means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. How and where do I even start? Ooh. So, he's not coming with us either way, but it's just how we phrase things. You'll only get in the way. Come on, we're saying this. Come on. Zack is the most likable character. We're gonna be nice to him. Okay, he liked that. There are only two ways this will end. I agree with him and take him with me, or I agree with him and drop the idea altogether. Neither appeals more than the other, especially when we're all desperate for answers and a way out. If all it'll take is a little more honesty to make him drop his harebrained idea, so be it.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zack. Zachary, listen. I know you only want to help.
Like hell! This ain't just about helping, Ashton! You're throwing yourself in the thick of it, on your own!
Whoa.
Was your fall last night really that bad? Did you hit your head hard? I honestly can't tell if you've gone stupid or just plain suicidal.
My head's okay, Zack. But it won't stay that way if we don't do anything about this. Someone has to.
Seriously, this is already a desperate move. The longer we dally, the faster we're losing our options. Do we even have one? Looking back at it, this whole business with the ghost seems perfectly set up to drive us into a corner. Either until we lose our mind or until she gets us. It's starting to feel as if there isn't an escape. We've already become her playthings the second Isabella found that letter. That our lives here are in her hands ticks me off big time. But the idea of watching the people I care about die helplessly, more so. They're much safer here than with me. It's a selfish thought, I know, born out of fear. So in case things go awry, the very last thing I want to happen is for Zack to take the fall with me. I've already made enough mistakes.
And that means it's just you.
Just me.
Suddenly, he clams up. Although his actions, the restless shift in his shoulders, his mouth pressing close in a tight line, and how he starts off again in a quiet note. It all gives away his real thoughts, long before two words have even made it out of his mouth.
I'm sure you already know about this. Maybe this is you trying to make amends, or whatever. I don't know. You're making your own decisions here. But if something happens to you, it'll be just that. You'll just be another dead body out there. Please, don't do something like this.
Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to get myself killed.
Yes, you are. Let me stop right there. Yes, you are.
I just want things to go back to normal, Zack.
Another dead air falls at the heels of that one admission. The meaning of my words, too heavy, too striking. It stuns into another lull. It's like every single silence in between sentences spoken to Ash is dead air, tense silence. Silence descended upon us. It's like, I know I've mentioned it a couple times, but it just astounds me. It's like every silence, he comments on it. I keep expecting him to stop, but then he doesn't. Optimism aside, we're both aware that's impossible. We're going to have to deal with the trauma right after. There will be the images, the voices whispering inside our heads, the foreboding feeling, the stench of blood, gore, and death trailing after us. We may survive this, but those things, they'll remain in us for a long time. One does not survive something like this without it leaving something in you. Just the mere thought of what might come right after makes me dread it. What this has changed in all of us, but I suppose that outcome is more acceptable. The lesser of two evils.
3 hours.
My head snaps up and I turn to him, puzzled. He's staring at his hands with a thoughtful expression, brows furrowed, and a deep concentration. Like he's trying to choose the right words to convey what he's about to say.
3 hours? For what?
Until he comes and gets you.
That's more than enough time to go there, to check things, like you said, and travel back here. If you don't show up here beyond that, I'm going after you.
From his tone, it sounds almost like a warning. I'm sure that's not his intention. His warning to come rescue you, but hearing something like that from a person like Zack, I can't help but chuckle and throw in a jibe, despite how dire things are. Just like the old times.
Make that 4.
What? You said you're just gonna check things. Why would you even need that long?
Speed limit? I'm a ranked law enforcement officer, Zack. I'm supposed to set an example.
I so wanna punch you right now.
Please do it. Please do it. We're all behind you, Zack. Of course, Zack never carries it out. In light moments like this, it's just how he is. How we are. Unfortunately, G chooses the next moment to show up. He slams the flat of his palm on the counter and shoots us both a stern look. Although his tone's nothing short of jovial, the disapproval's clear in it. He obviously misunderstanding the situation.
Boys, drummer's nice and all. I used to watch these bloody god-awful afternoon serials with one of my brothers many, many years ago. But listen, I am not having one in my pub, all right? You two want to fight? Go out.
A pregnant pause. Again. Again! Then, without any preamble, Zack and I are both snickering, and G's glower melts into confusion. When we both show no signs of stopping, he simply shakes his head and turns away. I like to think it's better this way, better that we part on light terms, but so Zack won't have to see every little insecurity, every little doubt in me right now. He's seen enough. The last thing I want him to glimpse is another display of weakness. Not when he still stares at me with the same unerring confidence in his eyes. When our mirth dies down, before anything can be said further, before I change my mind, I step away from them. Giving Zack's shoulder a quick few pats, mumbling a lame excuse about taking another short nap under my breath. Altogether burying the stray thought that flashes fleetingly in my head. Zack has seen me at my lowest plenty of times. Why does it all matter now? Okay, alright, we're gonna have to... I thought we were leaving the freaking bar. Why are we still here? Alright guys, that does it for this video. We're never finishing this freaking story. Okay. I have this... Okay, thank you, Dropbox. Fuck off. Who gave you permission? By the way, so here's my current prediction for the ending. So, I figure this is a good time for it. We don't learn anything. That's my prediction. We don't learn anything. We do Luke's chapter, we find out about Luke's little sob story, backstory, we find out what he's really been up to, and then Luke dies or something, and then there's like, I don't know, whatever ending I get, and that's it. If that happens, I'm gonna be so angry, but I kinda like being mad, so. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.